anyone close to that house, anybody tied to that house, including the unnamed roommate that had yet to move in, there should be search warrants on everybody.
There should be.
There needs to be a basic search warrant just looking into their geolocation and GPS. If their geolocation and or GPS shows that, well, they kind of came to the house a lot, they kind of drove by here a lot, you're looking for identifying patterns of behavior. If they have that, then that gives you the red flag to dig a little deeper. Okay, well then let's look into the applications and see how often they were. You know what I mean?
You know what my theory is? So remember back when we covered the first unsealed search warrants that we talked about, like around this time of last year?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, why are they redacting the person's name off of it? Do they have a co-defendant? And you were like, no way, I don't think so. And you're like, they're for Bryan. It's so obvious. Well, actually, I was just sitting here thinking about it, and I was like, light bulb. They are redacting Bryan's name off of any search warrants now because they don't want people digging, and they think it's going to prejudice what people think in the public.
Maybe, I don't know.
Or it looks bad on them because it's like we're just now digging into all of this of Bryan's. I think there's a reason.
I think that's more likely.
I think there's a reason I think there's a reason we're not seeing any search warrants with his name on them, but we're seeing ones for the victims and ones that are redacted with no name. That makes me think all the ones with no name, for the most part, are Bryan Kohberger. And there's a reason behind that where they're trying to protect his right somehow, or, not make themselves look bad for just now looking at all this stuff. There's some reason to it, I think.
Or 6 months ago or whatever it was.
Yeah.
This is all stuff that should have happened before January 1st of 2023, in my opinion. But
same.
Yeah. Let me know what you guys think, and I'm curious how you feel about it. Leave the comments below, and if you want to know more information into the tech stuff, leave a comment. I will dig deeper if you want me to. All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the show, the True Crime Talk Show, the one and only that nobody out there can replicate, brought to you by Thought Riot Podcast. All of you are Thought Riot Podcast, and we'll get into it. We have an awesome show tonight. Let's do the normal shout out. So if you're just hanging out, I did shave. If you're just hanging out, I will periodically through the show. God, this hat always drives me crazy. I always feel like it's on like a little sideways or something. I must have like a sideways head. I don't know. Anyways,
you sure do.
I know. I look super young when I shave. I know. It's about that time that I had to shave. I got to show some appearances in my position. You know what I mean? Still got the long hair though. I was thinking of going like full. I was in my Charles Manson era. You know what I mean? And I was just going to shave everything, but didn't get there. Gosh, it's muted. So make sure you guys, I don't know how long it was muted for, but anyways,
the whole time.
I mean, I was changing stuff around, so it could be the whole time, but that's okay. We'll go back through it. So welcome to the show. And I always give this shout out for this subreddit. We've been with them for a while now. They've been, when we joined them, they were around the 6,000K members mark. They are now at 8K. So huge congrats to you guys. Shout out to you guys. I know we have some people that are on here that watch us regularly. So just incredible work, man. Keep doing what you guys are doing. You're doing incredible. I see you guys managing the comments and the hate and the drama and the subjectivity that keeps being brought into the subs. So just keep it up. You know you're doing something right when people hate. That's when you know you're doing something right. That's when you know that you're getting down to their core and you're trying to create change that they just don't want to happen, you know? So shout out to you guys. For anybody that's on Reddit, if you want to have a space where you can openly talk about the Idaho 4 other than our Discord and our social media, make sure you hop on here. This is r/Bryan Kohberger Moscow. All opinions are welcome. All theories are welcome. The one rule, respect everybody, right? Opinions don't have to come with hate. They don't have to come with disrespect. Even when you're talking about opinions that are completely opposite and different, don't let the politicians fool you. You do not have to hate opposition. Opposition is a good thing, right?
It's very positive, actually.
It is.
It's the best.
It is. It is. Like, I love being wrong, and that sounds so weird, but being wrong. Yeah, it did it again. I don't know why it's doing it, but
It's doing it by itself?
yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe I have a cord unplugged. If it does it again, I'll check it out. But am I touching? I think I found the problem. Let me just fix it. Give the intro. Just check that.
Yeah, they said it was cutting out. I mean, I can't give the intro if the audio is cutting out.
Well, ask him if it's cutting out.
Hey, let me know, you guys, if it is continuing to cut out or if it's better. Because, yeah, it was just sitting there muting itself. It was really weird. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the computer's plugged in, or else you wouldn't see anything.
Is it muted? No.
I just want to make sure you guys can hear
Awesome.
me. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I think it's good. I think everything's good. We'll see. We'll figure it out. It could also be the app too. I'm not sure. I have where's all our other keyboards? We have multiple keyboards hooked up to this. Don't know where I was at, but I think I was talking about mistakes and opposition and opinion. But those are some of the best things out there, man, is when there's opposition and you're learning and growing. So, you know, as long as you do it respectfully, that's it, you know, that's it. Otherwise your opinion's not going to get heard. So anyways, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the True Crime Talk Show. And we just got done watching the video talking about the I do love being wrong. That's right. Thank you for reminding me. I do love being wrong. But we just got done watching the video where we started off talking about the new or not new, but unsealed search warrants from the Bryan Kohberger case, right? And the inclusion of not only some of the victims, but also the two survived roommates, right? And just how strange that is, and how, there's a lot of positives that come out of that, but there's also a lot of negatives that come out of that too. Or I guess negative supporting beliefs that can come out of that. But yeah, I figured we could just dive right into it, start digging into it. We also have some other topics we're going to cover as well. The Delphi case, and
Delphi?
yeah, Delphi case, and how strange the new interview is. I don't know if you guys have seen the
I
new
watched
interview.
the whole thing. Not so there was a part that came out way earlier. I actually got like a Twitter notification for it, and I was like, whoa. I literally was screaming. I was like, no way. I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
I didn't expect the old lawyer to come out and talk. And then I watched it when it aired on TV, well, court TV online. I watched the whole thing. And it was very, very, very interesting. So I definitely want to talk about that. I wanted to say really quick that no, we are not affiliated with the Bryan Kohberger Moscow subreddit. We have no part in running it, but we just really love it and we think they're doing a great job. So we want to shout them out. And Mike, you were probably joking, but we have no control of where memberships go. And we actually wish it could be different. Like, viewers could gift to a specific viewer that they, are friends with in the chat.
Yeah,
Or
YouTube needs to get on that.
Yeah.
It's a problem, I feel like.
I
I
wish
feel
that
like we should be able to control where they go.
Yeah, I think so too. Because say there's like, somebody who's like just in the chat to troll and cause problems, they could get gifted a membership.
Absolutely.
So that kind of sucks. When that happens, when somebody like you, Mike, is watching a lot and commenting a lot, and it doesn't matter if you are, like if you disagree a lot, that's great. We want that here. We want that here. You are just as valid and wanted and appreciated as every other viewer who agrees with us. Like, it doesn't matter if you agree or disagree, but we have zero control. CH can't get a membership either. There's a ton of people who can't, and there are some little things within, just for anybody out there. Why is it scrolling by itself?
Because I'm
I was so confused. Anybody who feels like, why can't I get a membership? There's other
two
things
that we've identified so far.
There's, if you're on a branded account, what makes your account branded? No idea. And most people are on a branded account, don't understand why their account is branded.
Walk them through how to turn that off. I'm pretty sure when you set up your account, it's a single question. But if you go into settings, like you go to log into your YouTube account, you go youtube.com, then it'll have you log into your Google account. Then you go directly to settings, and then I don't remember what it is. It'll pop up on the left-hand side. And I think it is maybe privacy or connecting accounts or something like that. But there's a question in there and a drop down that asks if you're associated to any branding or ownership, and you select that or deselect that, which will change it. So,
well, you want to deselect it, obviously, so that you're not a branded account anymore.
Right. And the only reason I know that is because we just had to go in there and select for one. So I had to do a little bit of research and figure it out. But huge shout out to Cynthia. Cynthia's always coming in here, a committed Thought Riot podcaster, and handing out memberships. And that is incredible. We appreciate you. That is awesome. And always good conversation. Super stoked to have you here every time you're here. The other thing, though, is to just make sure that your memberships is turned on. You can turn those things off. You can turn off the ability of being able to receive gifts. And I know that sounds simple, but we all know how YouTube works. YouTube makes decisions for our accounts without us making those decisions ourselves. So just log in there and triple check that stuff, you guys. That's the only way really to manage it and make sure that it's up to date. So,
and other than that, I mean, I don't really know. I hear people talk and say like, oh, well, if you interact with the channel more, then you'll get gifted one. But I see people in here that interact all the time and don't get gifted one, and I don't understand it.
well,
That's why I wish, like, when somebody is getting left out, like, we've had membership gifting parties where almost everybody in the chat at that time got gifted a membership, but there's always these, like, handful of people who just
and Mike's
can't
been one.
get
Yeah,
them.
Mike's
And
been
Mike,
one.
yeah, Mike has been one.
It makes
So,
me wonder if he's on one of those accounts or not accepting.
yeah, but he said he's
gifts.
gotten gifts on other channels.
Yeah, that's
So
super strange.
so I don't know. I truly do not know. I'm sorry that happens. I wish I could. Oh, Mike just got one.
Huh?
Thank you, Michael Little.
Who just got one?
Mike Applegate.
No way.
Yeah.
What? Oh,
Here,
pause
highlight.
the whole show. Everything stop. We need to give that a shout out. That is awesome. Everyone behind your computers or phones, everyone clap for Mike Applegate.
Right.
Yes.
Heather was on it. She was like,
That is
congrats
awesome.
right away.
That is so awesome. That's super funny. And huge shout out to the king of the chat, Mike Little. We appreciate you. We appreciate you so much. We even made a wait, what's that called?
An emote.
An emote. Yeah, an emote. That doesn't roll off the tongue very good. But yeah, we made
Emoji.
an emote for you, and we're super stoked to have you here. I know you're always my go-to when I have military questions. The amount of knowledge you have is awesome, and we appreciate you being here. So much good information. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Incredible, incredible.
Yes, thank you so much, Michael.
Absolutely, absolutely. Super
Salute
stoked.
the king of the chat.
Yes, everyone salute the king of the chat. Did you post the emote?
What? Yeah.
That
I don't
was
think you're
my
supposed to salute if you're not
salute.
military. I was joking.
You can salute someone. I just don't think it has the same kind of oomph, you know? My job doesn't consider me military. And then Ian coming in, giving party. I swear. Ian says something clever, funny, and engaging. Yes, that is hilarious and so clever and engaging. I love it.
What?
Plus, Malia's right. Always. That is it. That is it.
Yeah, but that's said here, but you still argue tooth and nail.
No, don't consider me military. I have too much respect for the military, man. Those guys, while I don't agree with everything our military does, I really appreciate everyone who is military and putting their lives on the line in the way they do. So when I'm saluting, I'm meaning it for real, like best intentions, because I don't think it's easy to be a fresh, what do you call it, pleb or something like that in the military, and putting your life on the line. So huge shout out to anybody that's military out there. We appreciate you.
I got a lot of military in my family, like a lot.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So we are a crew. I like that better.
What is a pleb? I was like, where did you even hear that from? What the heck is
think,
a pleb?
I think maybe pleb is Navy or Marine. I don't know. I think, Mike, were you Marine or Army? But or yeah, Heather said seaman. I think no
no comment.
You totally put that out there just hoping I'd read it. Okay, so let's get right into it.
Michael was Army.
I thought so. I thought so based on your picture and the color pattern and everything, but I wasn't sure. I didn't want to commit.
Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah. But anyway, so we went through the video, okay, about
Okay.
the warrants. We went through the video about the warrants and the freshly released warrants out for literally everybody. Essentially everybody's in there that's connected to the case directly, right? You have the victims, you have the remaining survived roommates, and the details around them. Now, my big question is, right, was there some kind of intentionality behind the timing of releasing these documents? And the example I'll use is in a movie, in a Hollywood movie, okay? Every single shot and every single thing that is in a movie is intentionally placed there and placed with the intention of causing some kind of emotional reaction to it. Every single thing. And actually, you're the one that says that quite a bit. And I think you had some experience taking classes around film or whatever, but everything is done like the what side of the screen somebody's being shot on, to the background and every single stone and the layout of it and everything.
Okay,
right?
so this is how intentional film is the angle of the camera, the distance of the subject to the camera, the color they're wearing, the colors of the shot. Literally everything you're seeing on the screen, it doesn't matter what it is, has an intention behind it.
Even
like
the
in a
things you're
movie,
not seeing,
even
like
the
the
things,
lighting and
right.
yeah,
Like that's why, like, you'll see in a movie a girl will start the movie wearing a lot of white, and then by the end of the movie she'll dress in all black. Like it's supposed to signify this change from innocence to not innocent, like things like that, that aren't really stated, that we don't really realize consciously, but subconsciously it sticks, and you get the idea.
right.
And I do think that a lot of things are done within mainstream media, and also when you're trying to get a picture out there, I think that those things could be done intentionally in a court case. I mean, we know for
Wait,
sure
what
they
what?
are done
I
in court
think
cases.
yeah, I was gonna say,
especially
I
with
think does not
like
match what we know happens in court cases
we know it happens in court cases
all the time.
because of how they dress the defendant, the dressing of the defendant. It matters a lot.
Yeah, it does matter a
changes
lot.
people.
The fact that they place the anti-running device underneath his clothes so that you can't see when they're wearing the Brady gadget that was created specifically for I'm Brady Bundy, specifically for Bundy and his leg brace so he could not run. They now continue to use that, but it goes underneath the clothes so there isn't any bias in the way that they're appearing and restricted. So going back to my original question is, do we think the timing was intentional in this situation? And I want to offer up some factors here that I thought about when I was chewing on this, right? We are in pre-trial here. I know that everyone likes to look at a lot of these documents like the trial is going on and the case is going on. So in pre-trial, things are pretty stretched out. They're not supposed to be, but in reality, they are. Things are not as critically controlled to move, push, and maneuver the narrative in the same way that they are in a court case. And they that's really strange.
Hmm?
Hang on. That's weird.
Are we
Okay.
cutting out or anything, guys? Is like everything looks okay
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah,
That doesn't
yeah.
really make sense.
Yeah. It's fine. It's fine. It's good. So it let me know if I disconnected you guys. A commercial popped up. Okay. Interesting. Just because it's popping up saying I'm having issues with my connection, which isn't even possible here. Like that is impossible.
Yeah, but we're kind
with
of
the amount of
blurry.
backups. So interesting, I guess. But anyways, going back to my original statement here is there some kind of intentionality behind it? Is it being released right now or being unsealed right now with the intention of providing some kind of storyline and or control the narrative?
I don't know how it would control the narrative.
What do you, the whole narrative has been trial by media. What do you mean? Everything is
Yeah,
in
but
the media.
nothing within those search warrants, I think, pointed towards guilt for Bryan Kohberger.
You don't need to only point to guilt for Bryan Kohberger. It effectively showed that they were looking to the backgrounds of the surviving victims.
Yeah, it did.
So I don't know. I'm curious if you guys think the timing was intentional in this case. I've wondered. I'm curious here because then it comes down to, okay, well, what were they trying to imply by releasing this, right? What were they trying to imply?
I don't know. I think that when you seal something like that, from what I saw just from reading through all of the documents before you ever even get to the search warrant, um, they set a date for it to be unsealed, and then they relook at it before that date, and they're like, "Okay, do we think this should be sealed again or not?" And then they do it again. They either seal it or they unseal it.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't seal it before that date, then it should become unsealed, and I'm assuming they just determined it didn't need to be sealed anymore. Maybe they got everything they needed from the victims' phones. Maybe, for whatever reason, that part of the investigation didn't need to be under
KK.
such tight lock and key anymore.
Yeah. So my next question, because I want to, and my next question is, was the previous document stating the request to unseal done intentionally to make sure all documents from here on out are going to be unsealed? Was that a flag in the sand?
I didn't think so. I have not thought so far. I felt like um that unseal motion was specifically for essentially the defense's side of the case. Showing the issues that they're seeing and wanting it public because they see major problems and they want them to be public. Um, I mean, because all the public really has right now is the narrative from Brett Payne's statement. Well,
Right.
that's really all we have that's official. We have no like defense argument yet because we're not in trial. Everything is sealed. The entire case has a gag order on it and everyone involved. So I thought the argument was really compelling that I heard from a lawyer online. Now I'm blanking on who said it, but essentially they want their theory on the case, not the whole theory, not like the theory that they're going to be bringing to try to get him declared innocent or not guilty, but like all these major issues, they want more of their side out there, and I think that makes a lot of sense. But I don't think that means they want everything unsealed. Or I think we would have maybe seen them arguing to lift the gag order,
Well,
not just unseal their document that is exposing the problems in this case,
well,
because that's all they asked for. They didn't ask to lift the gag.
I get that, but I don't think that you could come to the judge and just lift and request to lift the
The gag
gag
order
and
could have been lifted already. It could have been.
oh, okay, but I'm talking about the unsealing of the documents. I don't think the gag order implies anything to having all these documents sealed. And I don't think in a court case, especially one with this much precedent or precedent setting it within the state and the country, essentially the world, um, they're going to see them make a bet so big they're just going to release everything. They're going to unseal all the documents and take the gag order off. I don't think that's going to happen, but stuff is more likely to happen. And I say stuff in general because it doesn't matter what it is, right? If you're trying to create progress in yourself, if you're trying to create progress in the world, you take small incremental steps to get what you want because that makes everything much easier.
Yeah, I don't think that Ann Taylor wants that. I don't think that she wants the whole case to go public like that. Um,
Why?
I don't think she does because I think that I think it
That can
was
imply
pretty
guilt a
clear.
little bit.
No, I don't think so at all. I think she's protecting her client because she sees that there's a lot of people out here that are like bloodthirsty, essentially, that are willing to put him on like a witch trial
Okay.
where they won't look at the evidence. She doesn't want the jury biased without their side out. Their side
Okay.
out.
So
So
you're saying that you think she doesn't want any of that out because it benefits the jury once they get to trial.
yes.
Okay.
And
Got it.
I think that she's just protecting everything they're doing and also not wanting the other side completely out there because without the defense's side, it's not balanced.
Well,
And you already have people who literally are so ready to like say he is so guilty. Like there's not a doubt in their mind of any other possibility.
the
And
the
anybody who
defense
thinks there's another possibility is nuts.
the defense right. I look, I agree. We've talked about that so many times, almost every single time we come on here. And but to be clear, the defense, even if everything was unsealed and ungagged, the defense does not have to share their theory and or approach to the case. The unsealing is essentially just unsealing the documents and submissions that have been submitted to the judge and court and state to progress the pretrial
To progress the litigation, yes.
or
But
release the documented by the state. And you know that could paint a picture of the direction they're going, but I don't know. I do see a lot of benefit in what you're saying where save that information because I think it's really important to plan and control when your big oomph mic drop's going to be, as a defense attorney. I really do. I wish our court was as simple as just transparency wins. Transparency is honesty, but it's not. Let's be real here. Otherwise, we wouldn't see the amount of grandstanding and money that a great attorney can cause a defendant or help a defendant in any given case.
the defense is the only side of this case that that has the right to not be transparent. They are the only one. They are the one. It is all up to him. It is all up to Bryan Kohberger and his defense. They are the ones that have that right because he is the defendant. It's totally up to them. And I think that Ann's using her best judgment on that. And I just think what I saw argued about them wanting that specific motion unsealed made a ton of sense. And I don't think it has anything to do with these search warrants coming out. But I don't know why they came out. Okay. We could speculate all day about why they came out, but what's in them is super interesting. That they are digging into the surviving roommates TikTok accounts to present day, which they were filed in like either September or November, I can't remember right now, of last year. That's interesting.
It is
It's
interesting.
from before the crime, like June to present day,
Yeah.
June 2022 to present day, which was like the end of last year.
Yep.
Why? Why now?
I
And
would hope we know why. And to be honest, I was surprised to see it. However,
yet so late in the game.
like I said in the video, I'm happy to see it. I'm surprised and happy, right? Because like we say every single time we talk about this is we're not here trying to suggest Bryan Kohberger is innocent. We're not here trying to suggest Bryan Kohberger is guilty. We have no idea. We don't have enough evidence. We don't have enough understanding in the evidence and how it was gathered to make a realistic assessment of the situation. Like I just can't do it. But
I can't either.
just when we're looking at this case from the micro level, when we're taking a singular piece of evidence, like we've done on the DNA, like we've done on the cell phone triangulation cast report, like we've done on the car evidence, GPS possibilities, things like that. We look at that, dissect it, and track it down to a very micro level. When we're doing that, looking at these pieces of evidence, there are massive issues all through them, all of them, everything. I can't think of one piece of evidence, not one, that I'm like, huh, okay, yeah, that's good, man.
That's
They
good.
really
Yeah, no.
researched everything. And I'll use Gilgo Beach as an example. And some people yell at me when I try and use Gilgo Beach as the example because Gilgo Beach had been going on so long. However, I've got to say, I don't personally believe it was going on that long, because really who closed the Gilgo Beach case was the FBI, and the FBI was kicked out of there and all their work was thrown away because that police commissioner or whatever was being looked at simultaneously by the FBI for fraud or tax evasion or something like that. So really the FBI did all their work in the last year and a half, 2 years. And when you look at the amount of work and background information that they have to prove a conviction in that case, I mean, it's thorough. It is extremely thorough.
Yeah, it is extremely thorough. I feel like Gilgo is a good one to look at because it's the standard you would expect to see, especially with like cell phone data and all of that, to where it makes
Exactly.
sense. There's a clear linear line of how they got from point A to point B and backed it with all of this science that is legitimate. Um, I don't see how you can't use it as an example, and I don't think the length of the matters because they could have had, somebody who had just, I don't know, done, say Rex Heuermann, it was a situation like the Idaho 4 where he committed one atrocity, but he did the same things where he took his phone and a burner phone. You know what I mean? Like, imagine it going in a similar fashion as Idaho 4, but using that cell phone data in the
Yeah.
way that they used it, it wouldn't matter if they had years of it. It would be that he went from here and had both of these phones. He went from here to here and had both of those phones.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
is, and the towers, like, it's not Moscow, Idaho, okay? There's good amount of coverage there with towers. So it makes sense. All of it makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And what's interesting is we did freeze, you guys. I had to close one of the locations I'm bouncing off of for my VPN.
We got
So
gifted
instead of like 5 locations, it's 4.
we got gifted memberships, just so you know. I don't oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, we'll shout this out and then we will go. I'll explain the cell phone stuff. So, yes, another 5 gifted subs from Cynthia. That's incredible. You are incredible, and I can't even express how much we appreciate you and how much of the Thought Riot podcast how much of the Thought Riot podcast goals and what we're aiming for and want to be to the community, you reflect. So we appreciate you. You're awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cynthia. You're the best.
All right. So now going back into the Gilgo investigation.
Okay.
When you look at that 1,200 pages, actually, I think it's like 1,460 or something, of the evidence that was submitted for the arrest of Rex Heuermann, they connect the dots, and that is what's different. So anybody, it doesn't matter if you think Bryan Kohberger is guilty. It doesn't matter if you think Bryan Kohberger's innocent. It doesn't matter if you're not sure. If you have questions around this investigation and you want to see a good comparison, because for whatever reason, this case just pulled you in and this is the first one you're really digging into, go look at the Gilgo arrest warrant and details, because the difference in quality, the difference in depth, the difference in the linear connecting of evidence to prove how he got from point A to point B, how they connected his cell phone at point B using a burner phone when he didn't have his personal phone on him. It's phenomenal. They break it down completely from top to bottom, left to right, up to down, everything. And then so many people out here are like, well, that's not how PCAs normally are. How you see it in the Idaho 4 case is common. Actually, it's not. It is not. So the only thing I can hope is I sure hope that they gave real evidence to the judge, like legitimate evidence.
Well, you know what's funny is if you want to talk about the majority of PCAs, the majority that I have seen are not as detailed as Bryan Kohberger's PCA or Rex Heuermann's. Can I talk? Or Rex Heuermann's. That is not what I normally see when I look at a case and see a PCA. They are normally not that.
Yeah, what?
What?
What
They're usually much more general than that. But I think
I don't agree.
The police, I mean, it doesn't matter if you agree or not. That's like, I know from looking at cases, that's what I see most of the time. I do not see a detailed breakdown of the evidence the way we see in the Gilgo Beach investigation. And I don't see this attempt at being detailed that you see from the Idaho 4 case. I don't see that normally. Like, even when looking at Chad Dorman, they just tell the story of what happened. They don't go into any details of forensic evidence or anything like that.
I mean, Dorman's not a good example.
It's not a good example. But there's lots of other cases. Like Jeremy Best is literally like a page long. The guy who killed Greg Ferenczi, the FBI agent in
but you're
Indiana,
using all
was
examples,
like a page long.
You're using all examples that don't have an unknown suspect. That's the difference. You have to look at PCAs or even exhibits that have an unknown suspect.
I think that's
all
the
of those
difference.
don't have that.
I think that is the difference. But I think that they were trying to give us like a Gilgo level PCA where they're trying to.
I don't.
But I think that they can't.
No,
I
don't think that's what they were trying to do
at
all.
It's word salad for a reason. I think they're trying to make it look that way, but it's not that.
Okay, but you're saying, you're using words in comparison that you normally don't see arrest warrants as detailed as Bryan Kohberger's. Look, I don't know how you can even use an explanation word of detailed and Bryan Kohberger's, because it's not. There is nothing, literally nothing is detailed. There is not one piece except for they say that they got DNA evidence. There is nothing else that is detailed. Every single piece is vague. Well, the only detail,
the DNA is the most vague part of it.
But that's the only direct evidence tying to Bryan Kohberger is what I mean when I said that. So they didn't even give the background on how they managed that and or handled it and connected it to Bryan Kohberger. But everything else is just saying that, he was seen here. We believe this. This is what this is where we think he is in the general area. And what's the most interesting part that I feel like a judge should have been able to see, if I'm able to see it, is the fact that the areas he's not around the house, the areas he is not around the house are detailed.
Yeah.
So that's a problem, that you choose to make the detailed information the information that does not tie him to the crime in any way, shape, or form, and actually proves against him being the suspect, and then leave as vague as possible everything else that actually does tie him to the crime. So I just can't personally say, look, Bryan Kohberger's is pretty detailed to these other ones, because I don't think it's detailed at all. Like, those two things are not even in the same universe.
Okay, well, I'm sorry you took objection to my adjective, but I mean length.
Oh.
It's the lengthiness of it. So
Okay.
yes, I agree. It is not detailed. It is not Gilgo level detailed. Like, that's obvious. But I do think they were trying to give the appearance, the facade of detailed, and of, look at this,
Got
bam,
it.
bam, bam. We got cell phone towers. We got camera footage. We got DNA. We got all of this stuff, and it's damning, and it to a lot of the public, it's absolutely damning. Like, there's so many people that have him so pegged as guilty without they're not willing to see anything else and think of it any other way. Honestly, I think it's very similar to what we've seen in other cases where there was somebody who was innocent and the public explained away the exonerating evidence. I think that could happen here. I truly believe that could happen here. Because of how just set people are
Because the trial
on
by
that.
media.
Yeah,
Because of the trial by media and
is.
character assassination.
It is.
Absolutely. 100%. And I agree with you. But for me, the length doesn't matter. Like, if any police are watching out here, dude, write your PCAs different. Bullet points. Objective bullet points. We found Bryan Kohberger's DNA at the crime scene. This is the location. This is how we manage the DNA. This is what connects him to Bryan Kohberger. Next bullet point. We saw Bryan Kohberger's car on this camera at this time in this area.
Identified plates.
Yep. And we tracked Bryan Kohberger's car to this next camera. Like, look, that is so much less writing, so much more clarity, and so much more objectively believable.
Yeah, I think the PCA.
I hope there is CCTV of him entering the house. I really do. That will be incredible. I want him to be proved guilty, because that's the only outcome that doesn't put the rest of the citizens in the U.S. at risk.
Right. I do think the PCA exhibit was written for the public. It was written for us to read. Like, it was for us.
I don't know about that.
I do think so.
No, that's
I don't think it was written for the judge. I think it was written for us.
Look, here's the thing though. That PCA, if it was written with the intent of the public, that would have to be that whoever was making the decisions on the case in the background would have the underlying knowledge and experience that the public would do this in this way. Moscow, Idaho is not new to dead people. They've had multiple dead people. They've even had multiple questionable situations where people have died. But this blowing up in the way that it did, somebody would have to have some kind of experience to even know to make the decision to say, hey, we need to have a face value PCA to let the public know what's going on while keeping all the evidence hidden. One argument I have to that doesn't make sense to me at all is, look, they've already sealed everything and gagged everything. What's the point in putting it out just for the public? Where's the benefit? So what? They want to seal it and pretend like that it doesn't make sense.
You know, I find it interesting. So I think there was this thing going on in the beginning, because I was looking back today at all of the press releases that the police put out literally from day one. I skimmed over them again, and I was thinking about some of the things that came out during that time, and also some of the interviews from Chief Fry and stuff during that time. And what I think they were dealing with is that they were putting out a press release and then seeing it getting eaten by the sharks. You know what I mean? Like, people were just ripping it apart. The family was like, "We don't feel like this is going very well. We're hiring our own private investigators." And you have the public just eating every bit of information alive and tearing it apart
Okay,
and
so
accusing people who, probably don't shouldn't be accused. And just all of that. And Chief Fry even said in a interview, like, we put the facts out there, and then they just take on a life of their own, and rumors get made and spread everywhere. So I think the police, what they were
I
doing
mean, welcome
is
to
they
being a
were
human being.
it's yeah, dude, it's just a part of these things, okay?
Did you never
But
go to
I
high
think
school?
I think what was going on is that their intention was to put out all of these facts to settle all of these rumors and make them go away. And so they would put out a press release and hope that it would, settle everybody down. Like, there, we gave you a dose, like, shut up, but it didn't work like that. It was just fueling the fire.
That's my
And
point.
so
Lack of experience.
so then they just battened down the hatches and were like, "Okay, we're not giving anybody anything anymore. We'll give them this PCA to explain why we did this, why we believe it's Bryan Kohberger, and then that's it. Like, that's it. We're not giving
So
anything else."
I want to change my comment that I just made a second ago because of a comment that one of our viewers unit left that says the Moscow PCA is 100% for the media to report on BK's guilt. So when you transition the possibility of it being that, I am much more likely to believe that. And the reason being is the PCA, in my opinion, was not written at the time of the arrest. It was not written until after the arrest, and after they already had their suspect in sight, okay, and they were already trying to create a best way to prosecute in this case. So, do I think, because of the amount of character assassination that I've seen in this case so far, that is a possibility? Absolutely, I think that's a possibility. And we've said it from the very beginning that that character assassination has absolutely been going on during this case. There's no way around that. The fact that you have so many eyewitnesses to questionable situations, firsthand knowledge from everything from security cameras being installed and Kohberger being the one that has been doing all the break-ins around Latah, even though I don't even think he was in the area at that time. To the tickling incident, to the getting kicked out of that college program, but not really kicked out, just switched to a different program. All of these things that have come out, that is character assassination 101. And again, I'm not, we've done the police corruption week. I'm not trying to prove that prosecutors and attorneys use trial by media. If you don't believe that our court system and all the people in it don't use trial by media, I suggest that you guys dig a little bit, because it's a tactic that's used all the time. It's very similar to, predetermining the outcome via trial by media by like grandstanding, right? You're giving enough information that it makes the bias of the general public slide in the direction that you want to go without actually having to be accountable for that information. So yeah, I think that's possible, maybe. However, you need to also be able to look at that from the defense perspective, though, when they're trying to prove Bryan Kohberger is not the guy in this situation. They can very heavily lean into the tactics of, if that's the case, saying, Bryan Kohberger is not the guy, and let me show you all why you believe he is the guy. there's 2 PCAs out. One was intentionally written in this way to be sent out by the media in this way, even though we were asked to not speak on it at all. How it got out there, I don't know. I'm not blaming anyone, you know, but that's what happened. And that would be amazing ammo. Amazing ammo.
Yep. I think so.
But I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think. I got to go to the bathroom real quick.
Okay, well, I needed to check something real quick. Okay. I just got freaked out because I got a notification on my security system that there was somebody in my yard, and it was just somebody with a dog. So, false alarm, false alarm. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. The gag order only applies to the defense. That's not true. It definitely applies to everybody. If the state went out there and didn't, like, Bill Thompson couldn't go out and go do an interview. So I have a question for you guys. I saw Kid a Clue in a video. I don't know if he was being just, I don't know, like making a joke, and it went over my head, but he said that he found it offensive Bill Thompson went to like a bar and was singing a song by, was it Billy Idol? And he found that offensive. It was making me laugh. But did he really go out to a bar and like sing? Does he play the guitar? Because I didn't know that. Do you guys know if Bill Thompson goes out to bars and like does karaoke or plays a guitar? Rolling Stones? Bob Dylan. Okay. No way. I didn't know that. I cannot see him rocking out on stage. I had no idea. I think that law varies state to state, because if we did it where it was the entire nation had the same laws and there wasn't like this state by state jurisdictional system, people wouldn't feel represented, you know, like views vary quite a bit, depending on if you live on the coast or you live in the South or you live in the Midwest, like, you know, they vary quite a bit. And if we had a system where everything was the same, the coast, because of the amount of population, would dominate. You know, people in the middle would never really get heard. But did you know Bill Thompson like goes out to bars and rocks out like on like a guitar and sings and stuff?
That's interesting.
I didn't see him like that. That's interesting, yeah.
I mean, I can see it. Just trying to look like ZZ Top or something.
My audio and stream is choked at best. So there's issues right now. Is it cutting out, you guys?
It shouldn't be. I just checked the table. Just turn it on, see if it's good. Okay, it's all good for everyone else, so we're good. All right, so going into the one thing that we're using for our audio is we are using the the remote audio adjuster, which will adjust the gain. I'm having an ADHD moment. We'll adjust the volume to cater to how far we are away from the microphone and things like that, because we move, you know, forward and backwards all the time and stuff like that. So that it could be that you're hearing something when we first start talking and the mic picks it up, and that's just a way that it doesn't pick up any background noise. So if she's not talking, her mic isn't working. If I'm not talking, my mic isn't working. So That could be the cause of that. Just some new tech stuff. But so going back into the warrants. Now, wasn't that interesting with the Microsoft OneDrive, that audio software Res ID?
Mm-hmm. What about it?
Just the audio software that we talked in the video with the Res ID. However, because I knew that I heard that before, I didn't know that Microsoft OneDrive called their identification for a group of cloud supported devices to access this storage. I didn't realize they called their identifications for those storage locations the resource ID.
Okay.
So when I first started looking into it, I looked into the Res ID, which is an application that caters around audio files and the
You mean
background usage of
OneDrive?
them. Yeah, what did I say?
You said Res ID. That's
No, we're talking about Res ID. Res ID is attached to OneDrive.
yeah, but it's not an application.
Yes, it is. Yes, Res ID in the form that I'm talking about it is an application. It's an application that focuses around audio, and I mean it's software. All applications are software. I'm just using the term application to describe it. We talked about it in depth in the video.
Yeah, but I thought they're talking about a resource ID that is attached to a account basically and all of its devices, a OneDrive account.
Yeah.
So you're talking about Res ID and OneDrive like they're two separate applications. I'm really confused.
No, I'm talking about the possibility of Res ID not being the resource ID that's attached to OneDrive, like we
Okay.
talked about in the video.
Okay.
So, I think that it could be interesting depending on what the meaning is behind it, because it's not like it gives a breakdown on what that could be. And anything that has to do with OneDrive, essentially, you could have any separate functioning software working within OneDrive, with it being just a storage location.
I think it makes the most sense that it's the resource ID.
I think so too, but part of our show is being able to talk about all of the possibilities within that. I agree. I think it's the resource ID. It's just interesting that I have never personally heard that, even though I use OneDrive every day.
Hmm.
Like when you have a OneDrive account, there is nowhere that calls your storage location a Res ID. Nowhere.
Interesting. So
So
it's just something on the back end.
yeah, if that's what they're meaning by it, yes. However, it just says Res ID and OneNote or OneDrive. I'm sorry, OneDrive.
Hmm.
So the possibility of it being some kind of audio software application that is saved within the OneDrive of one of those people is a possibility too. I just don't think that's what it is. I think more than likely, because they're specifically asking for IMEIs attached to that OneDrive account, that more than likely it is the resource ID, which is the identification for the storage location, and then all the IMEIs tied to it. So when I'm saying IMEI, for anyone that is not tech knowledgeable, IMEI just means like a phone that has access to this tech storage location, a computer that has access to this storage location, anything like that. Because let's say, okay, to give a breakdown, let's say that I have a OneDrive account and I have a whole bunch of crime files in my OneDrive account, and I want to invite you. Okay, I want to invite you. So I'm going to send you the invite link to my OneDrive file. You would be able to access it via clicking that link that came to you in email and approving joining that account. Now you would have direct access to any of those files that are attached. It's a way that some people communicate that are doing criminal things. It's a way that some people communicate not doing criminal things, and anything in between.
Hmm. Interesting.
So what do you think they could be looking for in specifically OneDrive?
Well, it kind of did make me wonder a little bit, like, from both sides of the coin, like, if this is possibly Bryan Kohberger's account, was this a cloud or, a storage location he kept things and they didn't realize it? Maybe it was an old account or something, so they looked into it more, or maybe, um, I don't know. It's the name is redacted, so we don't know who this search warrant was for. What were the dates for it? It was up till his arrest date, right? That was the one it ended December 30th. It was like from the beginning of the year, January 1st, I believe, to December 30th. Which makes you think that it's for Bryan Kohberger, considering it ends on his arrest date, but um I don't know. I questioned. That's why I kind of thought too, like, I wonder if they're only redacting his name from search warrants now for a reason. Which I do think it could be it looks kind of bad, or there's some reason they don't want people to know they're still investigating these aspects of Bryan Kohberger. Like, I don't know. I like tell me, does it give you guys the impression, if you see this far into the game, that if that had said Bryan Kohberger's name on it, would it make you like look sideways at them and be like, why are you just now requesting this? Does that look incompetent on their part that they're just now looking into it?
Absolutely.
I mean, what do you think? Does it give that impression? Is that why they wouldn't want to put his name on it out in the public, because they're concerned about it looking bad? Or is it to not prejudice people against him? Which I don't know if I believe that. I'm trying to determine why, because I have the impression that it is Bryan Kohberger based off the dates. Why not end it on December 31st?
It could be. However,
Why the date he's arrested?
though, I think there's potential evidence that could lean towards Bryan Kohberger. However, I think that it's strange that they're partnering weren't these all submitted on the same day, therefore sealed on the same day? No. So this one was on August 24th of 2023. Is that right around the search warrants we saw for the background application data
I mean, I
in
think
Spotify?
the other
It
one,
was, I think.
the other one we were talking about is September, and I do think it's around that time. But I don't remember what time that was.
Yeah. Yeah, 28. It's interesting. It's interesting that it could be him. It's interesting that it could not be him. It makes me wonder, okay? And hearing that one what was her name? Natalie Lawyer chick. Hearing that one Natalie Lawyer chick has opened up my mind around the possibilities of the prosecution requesting to the defense that to seal something to help their investigation in these situations. I think that's very interesting. But I would think that anything tying to Kohberger would already be searched if it had to do with technology, especially the FBI's biggest strength in investigations is their technology department, their biggest. And we're told that the FBI was helping, but they're searching a year later, essentially 10 months later.
I mean, so remember I told you I was going back through the initial press releases from MPD, and they said how many officers were on the case from each jurisdiction: ISP, FBI, and Moscow PD. And I'm just doing this based off memory. I don't have it pulled up in front of me anymore, but I believe it was 20 agents, investigative like agents, like, and then they had 20 forensic or something like that, and then they had 2 behavior like analysts people.
Okay.
So what is the point of having that many agents there, and 20 of them are field agents, 20 of them are actually it might have actually distinguished the 20 and the 20 from ones that were out of the local area and ones that were not actually. But what's the point of having that many agents there and behavior analyst people and not be directly involved in the investigation? What's the point of that? Because they said very clearly how many agents were on the case and that they are helping us.
Yeah. Helping us.
What?
I was just looking to make sure everything is good in chat. Okay, so yeah, I don't know. Again, I would love to see one piece of evidence showing that FBI agents working in the field.
Huh?
I would like to see one piece of evidence that there was actual FBI agents working in the field, gathering evidence, conducting investigations in the field, regardless of what those numbers say. It doesn't matter. There was no FBI. Everybody who's been on site has never seen an FBI agent, except for what's her face who had them come to her house.
What are you talking about? Well, there's pictures of the FBI at the house.
There is?
Yeah.
When?
What do you mean?
When?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look through it. I
Well,
don't know when.
we should pull it back up then after you look for it, because I haven't been able to see anything that confirms FBI. Nothing.
Okay. Well,
So
we'll look.
I understand what people say. I get it. I know that people say that yes, the FBI was involved. Yes, the FBI is involved. I've seen all the documents. They definitely weren't there on day one. That's 100% confirmed by local PD's own statements. But none of them investigated the crime scene. None. I've said from the very beginning they've offered their support for their testing and managing the evidence and evidence testing, but they were not on scene gathering evidence. Therefore, that creates a massive lack of experience and reliability around anything that has to do with managing that crime scene. Anything.
Yeah. I'm not arguing about collecting evidence at the crime scene. I don't think that's important, obviously. It's very, very important, but there's a lot of other things that happen in an investigation. They don't have to be at the crime scene to be an integral part of the investigation.
Right. But you do need to be at the crime scene to gather data. And if that evidence could be flawed, that's where it would be flawed from.
What do you mean?
So, like, the FBI and unreliable evidence go hand in hand in this case. 100% hand in hand in this case. So, if we're talking about this, then we need to look at possibilities where it could be identified that it was being fraudulent or flawed. If the FBI is not gathering the evidence, then more than likely there's no buy-in for that evidence to be fraudulent. Right?
Yeah, I guess.
So it just seems unlikely when I'm looking at this case and I'm looking for flaws in the investigation and or police. I'm not saying the FBI wasn't involved. I think they were involved. But the difference is the way the FBI manages a crime scene, we would have seen the entire location taped off. We would have seen every single person removed from that crime scene pending the crime scene text coming in. We would have seen all the evidence managed effectively because these guys have an overwhelming abundance of experience managing these scenes. We don't see that. That is a very big indicator the FBI was not involved with anything that has to do directly with the house.
No,
They
I
were
agree with you.
involved in testing that evidence, but the messed up crime scene 100% goes on the back of Moscow Police Department and ISP.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if the FBI were involved, the crime scene would have been managed much different on appearance, even, just from us looking in. I agree with you. It would have been taped off. The bigger area would have been taped off. We would have seen things handled much different, I think.
Agreed. I agree.
But they were definitely, I think, integral in other ways that had to do with tech. But
listen,
if they didn't oversee digging into Bryan Kohberger's phone, why? Like, they should be the ones doing that. No?
I mean, look, I hope they did everything tech related. However, when it comes to that cast report, there's only one of two options here. Either Payne didn't know what he was talking about when the cast person was giving him data and he wrote it completely wrong, or B, there was no cast report done. Those are the only two options. If the FBI is involved, like everyone wants to believe they were involved. Because if the FBI was that involved, then they would be the one giving Payne that cast report, right?
Yeah.
Well, that whole statement on the PCA is wrong. All of it. It's impossible. 100% impossible.
And it's interesting that Anne only has a draft of it, which makes me think the cast report is still being made. It wasn't finished before the arrest of Bryan Kohberger. It was pending. Why else would she not have the cast report by now?
I mean, you got me. It makes me wonder, again, going back to the potential of the weird relationship or agreement we've seen between Bill Thompson and Ann Taylor is, are they trying to gather these things? And now that that Ann Taylor is asking for them, are they realizing like, that is not acceptable evidence for court. It is not reliable. It is not anything, I wonder how much experience they actually have, that Moscow Police Department actually has, because I'll tell you, while most of our viewers now have seen the video around the cell phone triangulation, if you guys didn't know any of that, right, and you're just an average person, and I've dealt with hundreds of thousands of people that work with technology, the average person has no idea how cell phone triangulation works.
Of course not.
Right.
Of course not.
So if Officer Payne did step one in creating a cell phone triangulation cast report and called the cell phone company, and the cell phone company said, hey, here's your report. This is the tower Bryan was connected to at this time. This is the tower Bryan was connected to at this time. And this is the tower Bryan was connected to in this time, which is what would happen, you guys. When law enforcement calls wireless, they give you the same reports I had access to, and it shows what tower you were connected to with backups, things like that. And did they just take that and do none of the other most important steps that come to triangulation in a cast report and say, oh my gosh, look it, he leaves his apartment here, goes here, this must be the guy.
Well, he leaves his apartment and his phone turns off.
Yeah.
That has to be him, right?
I don't know. I just don't think a cast report was ever created. I do not believe that the FBI created it. I do not believe an FBI agent walked Officer Payne through a cast report on
Through
the phone.
triangulating cell phones.
Yeah, I do not believe it because, like, you guys, some of the things that, like, if I was trying to explain how to chart a cast report over the phone, it would be like, look, this person was connected to this tower at this time. This is what their signal strength would be, which give you a rough estimate of this many feet from the tower to this many feet from the tower for the RTT time. Now, I see there is the secondary connection to this tower over here with this many feet to this many feet. And like, all of these points would have to be charted and or tracked on a report for every single location, okay, at different times. Like, they would be doing that. I didn't even give you one whole data point, just to be clear. Like, everything I said was not even one data point, but they would have to do it in like 5-minute intervals and then go out there and chart the reliability with a same model phone with the same strength and same technology and same everything, while using their signal strength indicator that connects to towers. Like, it just didn't happen. So I'm always very cautious when the FBI topic gets brought up. I'm just overly cautious about that because of the ex FBI agent that has come online or came on TV and said, based on his personal opinion and the people he still talks to in the FBI, they didn't want anything to do with this case. That reflects that in their assistance in this case, honestly, because they did not try to take an active role. They took a very passive role, a supportive role.
Yeah, I think it was a passive role. I do think it was a supportive role.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was that. Because Moscow was always the lead on the case, and that's really all they can do.
I mean, they can do more if you're asked for help and they offer it.
Yeah, but it seems like Moscow was getting backed more so, like, ISP was more so in that role than the FBI.
I
Like,
hear
it
you.
seems like MPD was asking from more help from ISP than they were the FBI is what it seems
Yeah,
like.
mistake.
Yeah, major mistake.
Mistake, in my opinion.
Major mistake. But I do think it said in one of those press releases that the FBI had conducted interviews. I think.
Yeah,
I'll have to go back and read it
there's
again.
there's that statement where the FBI is the only one that has the recorded conversation with Bryan Kohberger, which again goes back to what I'm saying about, FBI evidence just being more reliable in general. Why is the FBI the only one with a recorded conversation? I mean, is this a joke? I feel like somebody's trolling when you
Right.
say that. So, out of every conversation that's been had with Bryan Kohberger, even if he was just claiming that he wanted an attorney, why are these not recorded? Why? Now,
Right.
understand that's hearsay, you guys. That what I'm saying, I don't have evidence, right? I do not have evidence of that. But that is the current storyline. We won't know for sure until this comes out, but it's been presented as such all over the place that they have one recording of a conversation with Bryan Kohberger. That's whoa.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I don't think that's right.
Right.
I don't think that's right.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That makes me real nervous.
I've never in my life, ever in my life,
Do
heard of law enforcement not
gosh, it's killing
interviewing
me.
the suspect.
So,
Even Bundy, they interviewed him like over and over and over and over and over, even the night before he went to his DP.
yeah, but do we have any indication of whether or not the FBI did an interview with Kohberger pre or post arrest?
Well, it was post arrest.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the lack of interviews pre-arrest is strange too,
Yeah,
because that is a very important technique to try and get somebody's arrest.
it is. It's
It's
one that's normally utilized quite a bit.
it's like the main thing utilized.
And this would be a case where I would expect to see it, honestly, because it doesn't, I don't know, like their evidence doesn't seem that solid once you start to look deeper into it. You'd think they would want a confession.
Agreed.
So I don't know.
Agreed. I
It's
don't
weird.
understand it at all. I don't understand
Unless
any
they're
of it.
viewing at it like he is a serial killer, we can't let him know anything at all. Like that kind of approach.
I mean, you don't have to let them know anything if you're having a conversation with them.
I mean, if they believe he's guilty and they're pulling him in to talk to him about that crime,
Yeah, you don't have to give him anything.
yeah, but you're letting him know that you are on to him.
Yeah, but a lot of times that's okay. That actually causes slip-ups. So it's very rare that police literally don't ever arrest until the time of until the time they get an arrest warrant signed or attempt to have a conversation. It happens, it's just very rare is all.
Hmm.
Yeah. But and actually Gilgo's one of them.
What?
When the FBI took back over the case, they never pulled Rex Heuermann in.
No, they didn't.
Mm-mm. And you can't trust any of the investigation documents pre-FBI this second time. So just because law enforcement was untrustworthy, there were issues there.
Yeah, but why do you think they didn't pull him in?
Probably because the evidence was that good, or he wasn't in ramp up phase, he was still in cool down phase, and maybe there's some science stating once a serial killer starts a ramp up phase, they're less likely to stop, right? Which would give them good evidence in that situation and make their arrest stronger. I don't know. I'm just coming up with potential theories.
Hmm.
But the difference is Bryan Kohberger didn't have the financial stability to run where Rex Heuermann did too. So that could be some differences.
Yeah.
What do you think they were expecting to find on the surviving roommate social medias? Do you think they were looking into them? Or do you
Oh
think
gosh.
they were looking to see if they were being visited and or watched by somebody else?
Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's no way to know. They were cleared very early on in the case. We have had no indication that they were being re-looked into at all this entire time. So my inclination is to go with they were looking into accounts that they had interacted with that maybe also interacted with the other roommates.
Yeah.
Or maybe maybe it's this. So maybe they can't find a connection between Bryan Kohberger and the victims. And they're like, so where's the connection? We think he did it. We're pretty positive he did it, but we can't find a single solid connection to where these individuals intersect at all. So maybe we need to look at the surviving roommates and see if there's any interaction with him on their end. Like maybe he had a fake account and was interacting with them, or maybe he was following one of them, and you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. These are all things that I would have expected to see on 11/14 of 2022.
Yeah, requesting all phone data from everybody involved.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And again, if the FBI was involved, you guys, in such an integral way, Why would Payne not be on the phone with an FBI technology investigator expert saying, "Hey, what do I need to request here? Let me give you the rundown of this entire crime and situation, and what do I need to request?" Okay, so I need to request all of the background data for all of the applications on the phone. I need to request cell phone triangulation to see if we have anything that's reliable in the area. I need to request geolocation, geo-blended GPS background app data. I need to, you know what I mean? Like all of this should have been done on the 14th. All of it.
Yeah.
All of it should have been done before Bryan Kohberger was a suspect.
Yeah, they could be looking for either a co-conspirator, or I think it's that they don't have a connection between him and the victims, and they need that connection. They need it to make it believable in court to a jury. It's really hard, I think, to convince a jury that he did this if they can't find a single connection. He never
Agreed.
crossed paths with them. He never interacted with their social media. He never did anything that could even indicate them to him that any of these people ever existed ever. How many people are
I
on the
agree.
planet? Like billions? I don't know, 7 billion at
billion.
this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're never going to know a person in the next town exists unless you interact with them in some way. And to me, it seems like they can't prove that connection yet.
I am wondering the same thing. However, even if they can prove a connection, even if there is a very, very, very clear connection and he is undoubtedly guilty, I still expect to see these things.
Me too.
They don't get a pass. I've never in my life seen an investigation where they're like, at this level, okay, at this level. Now, if we're talking about armed robbery or something like that, where the cost of these tests matter and they have enough evidence to prove this person did that, that's a little bit different, right? It's a completely different level, a completely different scale. But you're talking about one of the biggest cases in the world, the biggest case probably in the Idaho area, in such a small town, and so much attention, and so critical that they get everything right. I would expect to see it done in a different way.
I just wish I knew more behind those search warrants. I'm so curious. Because
Yeah.
do you also think it's interesting that we saw like, I guess what was it, a month ago when it was try to remember. I think it was like a month ago when we saw stuff coming out, Dylan posting stuff to social media, somebody who claimed to be her friend's mom posting stuff to social media, also some stuff from Bethany, and
Yeah.
people were like spreading these rumors that they were pregnant.
Yeah. With their boyfriend.
Yeah, and Bethany was getting married or something.
Sure.
I find it interesting that we see search warrants come out about them not too long after we saw all that.
I mean,
Which they did come out. They actually requested the search warrants last year, but it's just interesting they were unsealed after all of that.
it is interesting. It is really interesting. And, I've always felt weird about Bethany and that statement coming out about being pregnant. Okay.
What?
And yes.
What
and
statement?
What you just talked about it, about her being pregnant with her boyfriend.
Is she pregnant?
That's not important. So I've always found it interesting when that came out, and that was a while ago, because one very, very, very important tactic that we see quite a bit from women that are in trouble or going to prison is they use the pregnancy to like soften the court or the prosecution or try and minimize the amount of time. One example is the queen of fraud or whatever. What was her name? The lady that had the fake testers where it could take like a drop of blood, and you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Elizabeth
Well,
Holmes.
yeah, Elizabeth Holmes. Elizabeth Holmes. So she did that. We've seen it time and time and time and time again. So it's interesting that was the rumor that came out. You know what I mean? And I'm in no way implying guilt, you guys. But when we're looking at the possibility of very serious accountability around a case like this with a whole bunch of question marks around a whole bunch of people, these are just the things that pop up. You know, these are just the things that are popping up that make me ask questions. Why?
Yeah. It is weird that it popped up after that, but that could be like, I think that could be like looking too much into it, you know?
I don't know. I don't know if there's any looking too much into anything.
Oh, you can for sure look too much into something.
Oh, I don't think so. It's all about being objective. So I don't think you can look into something too much. It's, are you going to be objectively gathering evidence even when it proves whatever theory you're thinking is possible as not possible? You know?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I think that's important, is what do you have to support it? Who cares if someone says you're looking into something too far? Who cares if people are saying that, you know, you shouldn't look, that's not possible. You need to trust this. You need to trust that person. Anytime somebody says trust this, trust me, trust anything, that's like number one. Don't trust that. Look into it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You're just gonna have to trust me.
Right. You're
No,
just gonna have to trust us on that one.
I will decline to trust you.
Oh no.
You can't comb your beard anymore.
I can't comb my beard anymore.
What was that? Like, was that a fidget thing?
Yeah.
A stimming thing?
Yep. Yep. It was. It was. But again, this whole topic is interesting. It's interesting because it continues to give me all the signs that I wish
Wait.
that weren't there.
Wait, did you used to comb your beard on stream with a lice comb?
No, I said that where the lice comb thing came from is because I said that I liked combing my beard with lice combs because they are like very fine. So they actually control the direction your beard is going better than a comb does. You either that or get like a very fine beard comb.
Yeah, they're like so tight. I don't think I could get one of those things through my hair. Thank God I've never had lice in my life. But if I did, I think I would just have to shave my head. I don't think I could comb that thing through my hair. It wouldn't happen. I would
mean,
just
can
rip
comb it through
all of my hair
beard,
out.
So I'm sure you could comb it through your hair because I can do it for my beard. Yeah, they are really good. They're awesome combs. Awesome, awesome, awesome combs. What am I missing? What else did we talk about on those documents? Or do you want to get into a little bit of the Delphi?
I think we should talk Delphi.
Okay. Okay.
So, Court TV just did a special where
This is
they
crazy, you guys, too. So, real quick, if you're here for
Yeah.
the Idaho 4 but have interest in Delphi, you need to hear this. This is insane. Like, insane. To the point where, you know, Malia called me screaming, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up the tweet that I had. I saved it on our Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it now. But I got a notification and I was like, "Wait, what the heck is this?" Because I saw an interview with Barbara McDonald and what is it? William Librato?
Okay.
That's his name, right? His
Okay.
old lawyer. So
Give
It's
the background
confusing.
story,
It's
the rundown.
confusing calling Librato an old lawyer
Don't
now.
call him that
So
because I
he
would
was
call
the
them
replacement lawyer. Him and Scrimmin were the replacement lawyers for when
the Judge
the
Goal picks.
original defense team got kicked off the case. They were the replacements, and then they essentially just got kicked off the case.
Call them the Judge Goal lawyers.
Because the defense got their jobs back. You know, Rossi and Baldwin got their places back on his defense team. So yeah, but they were handpicked by Judge Gull, Scremin, and Librato, which I find really interesting now that Librato, now that he's not supposedly covered by the gag order because he's no longer Alan's lawyer, he did an interview with Barbara McDonald, and it was a whole court TV special. And I watched the whole thing. And you guys, he comes out in this interview and says straight up, I believe Richard Allen is 100% innocent. 100% innocent. And confirmed he said at first he saw this was like a fantasy, like he thought it was like a fantasy, like it wasn't real. Like I think he felt very similar to how me and Brendan felt when we first saw the Frank's memorandum come out alleging Odinism, and was like, yeah, right. Like, yeah, right. There's no way. But then I'm telling you, if you read that thing and you go look up who the Vinlanders are, which we did a whole video on that. Please go watch it. If you like, go look into those videos that we did. Do we have a playlist on that?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
The Delphi playlist, for sure. We do. Yeah.
It's very real, and that's what he says. It's very real and it's very scary. And talks about the guard who went and got a face tattoo after he was told to stop wearing the patches. And that there's many people in Delphi who rep, Odinism.
I said that
and
the first time we talked about this is, dude.
That's what changed your mind once you looked and found something in Delphi.
No, I'm talking about the face tattoo. I said from the very beginning, I've never worked for a company in corporate America or a company in general that would allow something like that. Not only is that like a super backhand to your boss, who I don't know what kind of accountability he gave you, but like there should be a certain kind of presence and physical representation of a good company and employee and trustworthy employee. And you have an Odinist patch on that is tied directly to, at least in that area, racism. And they ask you to take it off, then you go get it tattooed on your face. Like, dude, the next conversation, if I was the boss, would be sending them home, calling HR, and like, how do we get this person out of here? You know what I mean? I'm blown away that the dude still has a job. I'm blown away that they would allow that. Not to mention that he was only hired after Richard Allen was arrested.
Yeah. And then promoted within 2 months and was overseeing Richard Allen that fast. The literal, like, most important inmate in Indiana.
I know. I know.
And he's wearing Odinist patches.
Yeah. So I don't know what his background is. We tried looking. There was limited information on that. But essentially, this guy didn't work there, okay, for the linear timeline. Richard Allen got arrested. Richard Allen got transferred into that, Richard Allen got arrested. Then he got hired. Then Richard Allen got transferred into there. Then he got promoted to manage that pod specifically that Richard Allen was in, while simultaneously wearing Odinist patches, while simultaneously breaking Richard Allen's rights as a U.S. citizen, and him losing 80 pounds, looking like he's being beaten and abused and all this other stuff. And then asked to take the Odinist patch off. So he says, all right, tell me to take it off. I'm going to go get it tattooed on my face.
Yeah, and he has many other tattoos on his arms from what Librato said. And he said, the jail guards in Allen County aren't even allowed to have facial hair. He said, let alone a face tattoo.
Dude.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Prison guards are normally supposed to be pretty clean cut. I've seen them with sleeves, like tattoo sleeves. But I have never seen a single police officer or guard of anything wear any kind of religious or affiliated patch. Never. And I don't think that ever has happened. Maybe a very one-off rare circumstance. And he talks about it being rooted back, these Odinists and racism and stuff. And saying that after he looked into the discovery, yeah, he feels like, and talking to Richard Allen, he feels like he's innocent. And they were going to draft a Frank's memorandum addressing the same concerns as the past representation, that they saw the same problems, all the inconsistencies in the search warrant. You guys, I only can conclude that they lied in that search warrant, because they straight up took the witness statements and twisted them. It is not what the witnesses said. There is no account of a black Ford Focus that looks anything like Richard Allen's in any witness statement anywhere. There is no report of a guy in a blue jacket, only a tan jacket. There is nobody who said they saw somebody who was bloody, muddy and bloody. Didn't happen. They saw somebody who was muddy, not somebody who had blood on them. They changed the statements, like straight up. They lied. They did.
Yeah.
So it makes you really, 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 really question the integrity of the investigation in case. And you know what's funny? Librado, I didn't expect him to do this, but he said, I find it really interesting. Richard Allen is working at CVS, going to this bar, and there are these posters of these sketches and Bridge Guy in these places that he's frequenting. And all these years, nobody ever said, hey, that looks like you.
Right.
Nobody. And he said, then, there's nothing indicating to law enforcement that to look into him again, but you're coming up on a sheriff election and he gets arrested. He said, I couldn't believe he said that, talking about the sheriff election. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked by that.
Yeah.
That he would bring that up, because that's very real concerns people in the community have had. But I didn't expect a lawyer to bring that up on mainstream media like that. I really did not.
I mean, look, that goes back to objectivity in any given case. I mean, again, it's not based off opinion, right? So when you see these connections and you see these dots, it's the expected and or obvious thing to call them out, right? And then the only thing that's going to matter is not opinion. Everybody has facts. That doesn't mean they're ultimate truths. They're just your facts. But do you have evidence to back this up? So, this is the argument that we've had over and over and over and over and over again, that it's all going to come down to what kind of evidence you have. Opinions don't matter. And I'm sorry to say, I mean, I feel weird calling myself an expert even when it comes to wireless information, but like, an expert is not an expert because they have a degree, right? An expert comes with a certain amount of expectations around it, and that is being able to explain situations and or manage situations expertly. So like we just talked about this the other day when it came to the car expert and the FBI saying that the car year was wrong and he got it he had to change it. Okay, well, that's strange, because an expert it's not that he's an expert because he by memory has every car remembered, and can identify them all by a single messed up picture. No, he's an expert because he has things set in place to guarantee and make sure that he's right in these situations while having the experience to know how to maneuver that. So again, in this situation, I think it's only going to come down to and or matter what that objective evidence is going to back up.
Agreed. I think that everybody can see the PCA is majorly lacking in the Richard Allen case, and to know that, you know, the lawyers, you have 2 sets of lawyers, 4 lawyers that have looked into this and see major issues. And it's funny because Barbara McDonald says that the team that was going to replace the old lawyers was going down a very similar path as the previous lawyers, that they saw the same problems and were going to go down the same exact path, which I didn't expect because they were handpicked by Judge Gold, and I feel that she's biased. But I'm glad that they
Super.
were. That shows their integrity if that is the truth and that's what they were going to do. That shows that they were being objective, and we're not going to be biased and just go with whatever Judge Gold wants or whatever. I don't know what her motive here is, you guys. I have no idea what's going on in that woman's head. I just see major flaws in the way she's handling this case.
Yeah.
But
Major flaws.
I find that really interesting. One thing I wanted to say though that I really didn't like, you know, I don't know who this guy is, but apparently he has investigated the Delphi case quite a bit, and Court TV loves to have him on. I don't even know his name, but he wrote a book, and you know, he said something about
Are we going to watch this video?
Odinist symbols being connected to racism. He directly connects Odinism is some kind of Nazism. That is not accurate at all. And I don't think that's okay to put it out there like that. People have the right to worship whatever they want and have religious freedom. Just because you believe in Nordic gods does not make you a racist. It does not make you a Nazi. It doesn't make you any of that. There are plenty of them out there practicing this religion peacefully, minding their own business, and are not racist. It is specific people who are adopting the religion who are racist. And a lot of them are born and bred in Indiana. It is literally like a home station for them, like a home base for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but we can watch it.
We don't delete comments, ZJ, but you know what's funny is a lot of your comments. If there's one person that the auto moderator impacts the most, it's definitely ZJ. Okay, so when somebody submits, so I have an auto moderator turned on, the lowest level. And I've always been transparent about that. It just prevents people from being really mean, using certain words. It's whatever the YouTube auto moderator is for comments. And when they take out a comment, I made a personal accountability promise to myself that if your comment gets held there, I'm not gonna allow it out, because then I have to start making determinations and decisions on which comments are okay and which are not. And that's biased. That is subjective. That is going to make me, you know, select some comments that are okay and some that aren't. And I'm not going to do any of it. So the rule of thumb is if your comment gets caught by that auto moderator, then reword it, change some words. It picked something up. But what's funny is ZJ's comments get caught the most, I swear. So many of them.
Yeah, but is he actually saying anything bad?
I don't remember them like that. I don't know that.
Okay, because I don't see his comments being super offensive. So
no,
just change your wording.
Yeah, that auto moderator, you don't have to be offensive. It could also be certain hot topics and things like that. I just don't know. I don't think anyone says anything bad. That, like, very rarely does anyone say anything bad to us. And normally I don't take those comments off. I don't delete those comments. The only comments that I let stay are the only comments that I take off are comments that are attacking one of our viewers. I approve the comments that are like towards me.
Okay.
Original defense team, they've now.
It doesn't filter randomly, but it's not super reliable. I just don't want to open that door to where I have to choose. I have to go through all the comments that the auto moderator pulls out, and then I have to decide what I think is okay. I'm trying to remove any subjectivity at all. No,
He
if you
wants you
say I'm
guys
a
to have
moron, it won't get flagged. That won't get flagged.
yeah.
It would have to be worse than that or a hot button topic.
Right. So I mean, we don't want to be the type of creators who make the comment section an echo chamber to where people can't have freedom of speech and say what they think. We want it to be, you know, people leaving whatever they want to say as long as they're not attacking anyone.
I even respond to every hate comment. Every
Yeah,
single one of them I respond to it.
he trolls them.
I don't troll. I'm usually really nice. I can't help it if being a troll is a flaw in logic, and then I come and point that flaw out. I guess you can call that trolling, but like it's true.
We let a lot of really messed up comments come through.
As long as they're at me, yes.
Now been reinstated, but they said in some of their filings that they believe that white supremacist members of this Odinistic cult are responsible for the murders. And I asked him about that. Here's a little bit of what he had to say.
I thought it was hocus pocus. I honestly didn't. I'd never heard of it. And the more I got into it, that's a real thing. It is a real thing, and it's scary.
In what way?
Well, I believe they sacrificed a girl and killed another one. Some of the people that live in Delphi were very brazen about their Odinistic beliefs on their Facebook pages and other social media.
Okay, that makes me feel like he watched our video or something, because I haven't seen too many people cover the topics that we covered with the businesses in that area. Now, obviously that's a troll. I'm joking, but it makes me feel like there's some kind of connection there, and it's interesting to know somebody that would go to that area and see the general public in town square would also make the same connections, because when we created that video, we highlighted two businesses that are named after Odinistic beliefs. I don't know about you guys, but if I go downtown, I don't see any businesses named after Odinistic beliefs.
No,
do you?
I definitely have never seen that.
That is not common. That is very rare.
It is.
And multiple people are seeing it. So talk about brazen. Yeah, it's brazen.
Odin's Den is one of them. It's a tattoo parlor.
The Odin's Den, then there's another actually, I think there's 3. I'm gonna have to triple check that, but there's also a restaurant too. And then the tattoos coming out of the Odin tattoo parlor are
questionable. Like,
absolutely.
We showed some of them here on a past stream. There's one with a girl that has trees behind her, like woods, which is very interesting that there's woods behind her head. She's wearing a hood, and carved into her neck is the word hate. Like her throat is cut. And if you know anything about the crime scene, that is very, very, very interesting. That is a tattoo that came out of that parlor. Very interesting, very weird that they would have trees in a forest like that and a girl with her neck cut with hate carved into it.
Yeah.
That is really odd. And there are Odinist tattoos coming out of that parlor too.
Like all the time. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I've wanted to go back to school too, because I already have a Bachelor of Science. It would be awesome to become like a doctorate of science, but God, that's a whole much
Patty,
time.
we did a video on Ferenczi. He wasn't an FBI agent. He was an officer who, gosh, I can't even remember how they phrase it, but he was working with the FBI and he was on the task force investigating the Delphi murders, and he was killed by somebody who literally ran for mayor.
The only thing that makes me doubt that is
that guy's supposed to be going to trial this year,
right.
So we'll hopefully get more information.
The only thing that makes me doubt that is the way the situation was set up, and we talked about this in the video. There was no 100% certainty that FBI officer was going to be the one running out. That was at random, you know?
That's a good point. But it is that's a good point. But it is interesting that Ferenczi was one of the 3 who literally made the Odin report that is mentioned in the Frank's memorandum.
It's a big coincidence.
Wasn't it Click and Murphy? I believe is all their names. Ferenczi, Click, and Murphy were the 3 FBI task force officer people who couldn't let that angle go of the case, who did believe there was an Odinist angle here. And it's odd that Ferenczi was murdered like that. And we did a video on it.
Yeah,
you guys,
the coincidence is strange. I agree with you.
I'm gonna link it in the chat. And our Delphi playlist so that you guys can look back at those things, because we've covered that. We've covered, you know, who the Vinlanders are, who are named in that Frank's memorandum, specifically, and what Firm 22 means, and all of that stuff. We haven't been digging into it as much recently, but I have some more stuff I'm going to be bringing forward soon.
Yeah. I did just post the Discord link, you guys. Just as a reminder, I said I was going to do it earlier, but we were having issues with our sound. But if you enjoy this chat and you want to continue the conversation, make sure you download Discord from that link. The only way you can join our Discord is if you have an invite. That is the only way. And it's super fun, and it lets you know about alerts and everything. I think we have like a couple hundred people in there now, so it's really awesome. Check it out.
Accounts, including the sergeant who was in charge of keeping Mr. Allen safe in Westville.
You described one of those officers that's mentioned in one of Rosie and Baldwin's filings, Sergeant Jones, who was wearing patches that said "In Odin We Trust" on his Department of Corrections uniform.
Yep.
The judge ordered the warden to make them stop. And then what did you notice?
That Mr. Jones had a tattooed under his right eye. From the best we can tell,
Yeah, don't feel bad about sending money, you guys. That we aren't doing this for money. Don't feel bad about that. Most content creators make the majority of their money on views and stuff like that. And you know, money is not important. It's literally meaningless when it comes to the show at this level. So don't even worry about that. We want everyone here. We want you here for your mind, not your money.
Yeah. So if you want to support monetarily, that's totally up to you. Like, that is, if you want to go that extra mile, it is not needed. We're not going to value you less because of it. You know, it's totally up to you.
Yep. Absolutely. And you don't have to pay for Discord. Discord is 100% $0 free, nothing, zero, zada, nada, blada.
It looks a lot like Odin's spear. And he had several tattoos on his forearms, including the interlocking triangles that are on his Facebook post. I got to give credit to Mr. Rosie and Mr. Baldwin that, you know, they picked up on that. We saw him, and, you know, confinement officers at the Allen County Jail aren't even allowed to have facial hair, let alone facial tattoos. I was a little miffed that the warden allowed that, or, you know, he even knew what it was.
That was one of the things that surprised me too, is that it was the same guard, according.
The warden knew what it was.
I mean, it's odd that it was allowed. Nobody ever said the warden knew what it was.
He just said that,
He said, I was a little miffed that the warden allowed that.
let alone knew what it was.
What? Go back. Replay, rewind. I did not hear that. He said that?
The warden allowed that? Or, he even knew what it was?
That was one of the things that surprised me too, is that it was the same guard, according to Bill Labredo, that had the patch, was told to stop wearing it, and then comes to work with the tattoo under his eye.
Oh, Barbara, as I'm watching that, and my jaw dropped. Something else that's interesting
Insane, you guys.
that you asked him about, when he's telling you he believes in that legal theory. He wasn't the first attorney to put it forward. As you know, it was the first set of defense attorneys who are now back currently Richard Allen's defense attorneys. And as we know, attorneys don't always agree on a legal theory in a case. To me, that really says something that there may be some substantive value in it. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and he said that, their defense strategy would have been...
Yeah, don't feel obligated to buy memberships. If you want to, you can. If not, you can't. What's interesting is we know a lot of people are trolls. We treat everybody the same. Everybody. We know who. And we're just gonna treat everyone the same because I'm absolutely terrified of karma, and I want my karma really great. So I'm just gonna treat everyone really good. Did you find that video?
What video?
I thought you were looking for that video.
Pharency?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
no?
linked it in the chat
Oh.
already.
Oh, okay. Missed it.
probably a little bit different than Rosie and Baldwin, but not too different.
Not
They were
different.
also preparing a Frank's memo for a Frank's hearing, alleging that there were, problems with the information that was used to obtain the search warrant for Richard Allen's home. So it sounds like they were following a similar path, if not, not identical, but a similar path for
but
sure.
close, right? With the Odinism theory being at the heart, that someone else carried this out and that this brutal killing of those beautiful children was done by someone practicing Odinism.
Exactly, and that's what, I think when that first Odin memo dropped, we were all like, Odinism, what is that, right? And I think for a lot of people, it was that there's no way that that could be true. And this is somebody who looked into it, who at first said, no, I don't buy that either. But then after getting into the case, he had it for 79 days as lead counsel, and he says there's something there.
Wow.
Insane. What's interesting, though, is are we sure of that? Are we sure of that? I've doubted the insert of these two attorneys from day one. Haven't you?
Yes, I have very
I've
much so.
questioned it because what kind of justice system where a judge is supposed to be unbiased and impartial towards the state and the defense. A judge is supposed to be there to protect the rights of the citizens and making sure the state is doing things accordance to the law, right? And what crazy world are we in where a judge says, yo, you know what? I really don't like how these lawyers are handling and working with this defendant. So I'm going to kick you off and I'm going to hand pick my own, literally hand pick them myself for the defendant. What a twisted justice. Isn't that?
Yeah.
It's so twisted. I'm blown away that it even happened, you guys. I really am. I'm absolutely blown away that it even happened, to be honest.
Yeah. I just
Crazy.
so how do you feel about I feel
It is
like
great that they confirm it, but are they only confirming it because they're now off and they don't want to be used as a pawn to make Judge Gold look bad because she handpicked these two? Are they taken off the playing board now by agreeing with the defense to be used against Judge Gold?
Huh?
Okay. You didn't understand anywhere I was going with that?
Kind of, but then when I thought
So-
I knew where you were going, what you said right there confused me.
So if they want to hold Judge Goal accountable for what I just said, which is the opposite of justice and against the law, a judge is not allowed to come in and say, you know what, I don't like your attorneys. I'm going to go ahead and kick them off, and I'm going to hand pick attorneys that I
Yeah.
like, and
Right.
I want them to go my way. Okay, that's illegal. That is that's impeding on your personal rights as a citizen when it comes to federal law and state law, all the way around.
Yes, it's a problem.
So since we never heard anything from these attorneys when it came to Odinism, when it came to anything like that, nothing. We just heard the complaints directly having to do with that jail that, or the prison he's been moved to or whatever, with some minor, like, you know, he
What?
was being held in this way, and the pills and the stuff, and no
No,
Odinism
that's not true.
specifically was taught. Let me finish. No Odinism was specifically talked about. Then they get switched back, and Judge Gold realizes that things aren't 100% going in the direction she wants, right? So she is going to be under a microscope now with everything. She doesn't want the two attorneys that she handpicked to be used against her if they pursue, you know, further accountability for Judge Goal through the court system, or taking it up to the federal court, whatever. I'm drawing a blank right now. She doesn't want them to be used against her. So if they come out once they're already removed, it's dead and done. They say, oh, you know what? I actually agree with the defense. Then she can come out. Then those two guys, that decision can't be used against her, because she would be like, look, I made a good decision. They even agreed with the defense team that was, you know, working with Richard Allen before.
Well, it's not true that they didn't talk about Odinism before they were taken off. When they filed their motion to transfer, they specifically talked about that guard and the Odinism, and that there was a problem there. They did talk about that. And that he got the face tattoo and all of that. But I don't know. I started questioning the intentions there. I wondered, because we now, you know, since the last time we talked about this, the defense, you know, since they're back on, filed a motion to try to get Judge Gold to get off the case. And then the prosecution has fired back with a motion trying to get the defense lawyers, what is it called? In contempt of court, for violating the gag order, and cited a bunch of reasons why. They both have attached memos, and it's kind of like everybody's just in the mud pit, you guys, fighting super dirty right now. I don't know how this is going to end. I don't know how this is going to go. It's really, really sad, because I feel like the victims are getting lost in all of this mess. Justice is getting lost in all of this mess. But I wondered the intention there. Like, is he coming out because he's expecting to possibly get put back on the case?
No, I think he's coming out so that they can't be used against Judge Goal if they
I see what
pursue
you're saying.
accountability.
I see what you're saying. But how could they be used against her?
Because no judge is allowed to do that. They just, by putting his original attorneys back on the case, they just proved she did something wrong. They proved it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they wouldn't correct it. Now comes into question, if she made a mistake by kicking them off, what was the reason for kicking them off? Was it because they were on to something? Was it because she wanted a specific outcome, so she handpicked these attorneys? Now, since those attorneys came out and agreed with the original defense argument, that argument can't be used against her. Nobody can come forward and say, well, she picked these other attorneys because she wanted a specific outcome that the defense was not following. What do you mean? How does that work? They're agreeing with the previous attorneys. So that's not true.
That's a good point.
I don't know. I've just felt weird from the very beginning that she has too much control. This is not justice. This is not freedom. This is
Well,
not
'cause
regular American rights, whether federal or state.
I find it really interesting that at the end of this, Barbara McDonald says that Lobrato told her at the end of their interview that he believes Judge Gold is the way Richard Allen will get a fair trial, and she is the judge for the case. And I thought, how could you agree with the past defense on all of these issues, but say Judge Gold is the right one for the case? How could you say that? How could you think that? That's what made me feel super weird at the end of it, that he made a point to say he believes Judge Gold is the right judge. She's super experienced. She has all of this time and experience under her belt, and that she is the right judge for the case, and she will ensure this is a fair trial. And he has, worked under her and done arguments in front of her for a long time. And has a lot of experience with her too. And I just don't understand that. I don't get it. Like, okay, you have good rapport with her. That does not mean she's the right judge for this case.
Yeah.
Look at these mistakes she's making.
I
She
agree
is
with you.
illegally taking things off of the docket and destroying the record.
Yeah, I agree with you.
For an appellate court. She is removed the lawyers unjust.
Yep. And CH, I saw what you said about the attorneys. They were reinstated because it was a procedural issue, not based on the reason behind it. So I just want to be clear.
We don't have a ruling.
Don't fall into that logical fallacy of because this is true, therefore this can't be true, when both things can be true. They ruled on it without digging directly into the decision around whether her choice was just or not, clearly because they wanted to keep her on the case. If they proved that she had flawed judgment in that decision, then they would be able to argue that she has flawed judgment on every decision, and this would go back to square one. For whatever reason, they wanted to be able to reinstate these attorneys, right, to make sure that the attorney union, whatever it's called, that's not the name of it, I forget what it's called, but they would literally back these two attorneys, and who knows what that means, that no attorneys are going to show up to court and it's going to be a whole state standstill. I don't know, but clearly they wanted to keep her on it, and I don't know why, but I think if they would have said anything other than it being a procedural issue, they would have shot themselves in the foot then. So I think both can be true.
I see your point, but also we haven't received a written ruling from the Supreme Court yet. They gave their ruling in court and said they were back on the case, but they didn't give the official written ruling yet. So we don't have a bunch of details yet surrounding that ruling. But I see what you're saying, and I think that is a huge possibility. Very much so, actually. But I just don't understand wanting to keep her on the case. I don't get it.
Look, I agree with you.
I mean, I feel like keeping her on the case is shooting yourself in the foot. Like, it's pretty obvious that she's biased.
Look, I agree with you, but
it makes me question her background.
Attorneys have a ton of leeway. And you know who has even more leeway?
A judge.
A judge.
A judge has a ton of leeway.
A ton. They would literally have to be doing something awful or have a ton of enemies to be held accountable in a way that could reduce the trajectory of her career. Wild. But
I really question, with all the lawyers saying that there really is an Odinist angle here, how I feel like that makes me go back immediately to the prosecution. They see all of this. They're the ones giving the discovery to the defense. They see every bit of this information. They speak directly with the investigators. How are they not asking to look into this more?
I agree.
That makes me question corruption in the entire system. The prosecutor, the sheriff, everybody involved, every officer, investigator involved in this that went along with Richard Allen's arrest and not digging deeper into this. What is going on there?
I
What is
agree.
their incentive? What is their motive? Did they see this group of people as untouchable, so they had to go after somebody who isn't untouchable?
I have no idea. I don't know. It sounds so bizarre and so crazy and is totally 100% in tin hat land that I have a hard time comprehending what the possibilities could be. I just don't know. I am blown away at the behaviors we're seeing around this case. I am blown away that the fact that they were so brazen to wear patches in the prison. I'm blown away that when your boss tells you to take off the patch, they go and tattoo it on their face, like literally next to their eye. Like, I am continually knocked on my butt in complete confusion at the direction of this case. It doesn't make sense. Something is wrong. And to then have a judge that is removing documentation in a way that is so illegal is absurd. And after that ruling, she did it again. So I don't know.
Yeah, after the Supreme Court told her to stop, she did it again.
Correct.
She's continuing to do it.
Yeah,
She literally doesn't care.
I know.
It's really weird. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I do not get it. This isn't how things should be done, not to mention the incarceration of Richard Allen in a prison when he
Yeah.
is a pretrial detainee. That is a problem. Dude, nobody should have to go to prison. I couldn't believe that they said the other jail is not even set up for visitations. Or prison. Like, how can a prison not have any visitation rights? How's
have
it
no
even
idea.
possible? I didn't think you could go to prison and never get a visitor.
Unfortunately, I see people talking about the possibility of a psyop. I know people have talked about the possibility of a psyop with Idaho 4, and I know that these topics are tin hat topics. Like, I got it. So if you're somebody that really needs to keep a foot in reality, I hear you. I think there is a way to conversate about the possibility of these things while talking about it within a realistic scope of things. Now, we know psyops are true. We know it because they have declassified documents talking about psyops. Most of them are pre-1980, like, or early 1980s, early or to 1970s. So if I'm looking at the cases that we have out right now, right this second, Idaho 4 gets talked about a lot as the potential for being a psyop. I think there are too many variables there. I think there are too many bodies. I think that there is just too much there. But you know, if something were likely or possible, I think that the Richard Allen case would be more likely than the Idaho 4 case is. It's not something we would ever know, and we would just have to take part in, you know, giving our opinion and being part of it, regardless whether it is or not. Would just never know. We'd literally never know. But you know, if you're gonna do something like that, it's probably more likely you do it with some kind of cold case and then create a narrative around that. But you know, I don't want to get too far off into tin hat land, because a lot of when you're talking about that is going to be unverifiable evidence, and that can discredit some of the verifiable evidence. Not because I don't think those things are possible. We know they're possible. We know. It's not a maybe. It's not a kind of. They are declassified documents proving it.
It's true.
And you know, I just in situations where we look at the possibility of events being these things, there will not be much evidence, you guys. There will not be much evidence. So
Yeah, I guess if you're looking at it like, okay, the event did actually happen and then they used that to create an opportunity to do a psyop, then yeah, I mean, sure. I guess that's possible. But I think that in the Delphi case specifically, there's a lot there for just corruption.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I see here is I see somebody has infiltrated the system. Something's going on here. And I don't know where Judge Gold's place is in it. I don't know if she's a part of it or is a one-off where she just, I don't know, was in this situation, was losing her mind at the same time all this was happening, or somebody's slipping her acid in her water in the courtroom. Like, I don't know.
I have no
I don't
idea.
know, but it's really weird. It's all super weird. I feel like also the fact that Robert Fortson killing himself and not able to tell us what actually happened with those leaks is too convenient. It is too convenient that as soon as the cops start looking into it, he's gone.
Yeah.
I feel like that hasn't been highlighted enough. Everybody scratched their heads at it. Yes, everybody talked about it when it happened. But to this day, I have major concerns around that. Because he said everything would be okay if he just told the truth. And then he killed himself.
I know. It's strange.
Which means he cannot speak up for himself anymore. He can't tell us what actually happened. He can't tell us the truth.
I know. Trust me, I know.
I don't know. It's just a major problem for me. He had a wife and a kid. Like, he's a soldier. Like, why after all this would he do that? I don't know. It's just weird. It's also really interesting that the people involved in the leaks were all military.
Yeah.
They were all military. Got me. Your guess is as good as mine, but it's weird. And it's bothersome, and all of it makes me nervous. And I mean, I have big questions around the lead investigators in this case. I don't know. This interview has my head spinning a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you listen to Libredo talk, do you feel everything is genuine? He
I-
seems really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
And
I
like he's
can't
not
tell.
sure what to say in some parts of it.
I can't tell. I don't know. I don't know enough about him to get like a baseline of feeling around him. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure. I have no idea. That's jumping too subjective without having enough evidence to have confidence in my answer. So I wish I could tell you. I don't know. I don't know. I would need to see more of him.
Well, I recorded the whole thing so that you could watch it.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. Absolutely.
good night, Cynthia. We appreciate you. Star of the chat. But yeah, I mean, I find it all really interesting. I find it interesting that he's coming out after all of this. The judge getting called into question again, the defense getting called into question again. He comes out saying all this and saying he's not covered by the gag order, which honestly, I don't understand. I get he's not the lawyer on the case anymore and he's not involved in the case anymore, but he saw the discovery. So how is he not bound by the gag order anymore?
Yeah, he is. He is.
If family members who have intimate facts of the case are bound by a gag order, then how is he not?
Yep. Yeah, maybe there's some loophole in it or something. I have no idea. But in normal circumstances, absolutely would be bound by the gag order. Absolutely. Look, okay. So all of those details are client attorney privilege. If you guys go and get an attorney and you talk about things with that attorney, when you guys are done, right? Let's say you hire an attorney for a month, you have something going on, and then you leave that attorney. That attorney is not allowed to go share your information. That information is part of a trial and case. So he technically could get in trouble for it very easily. But, maybe there's something going on there where his morale is, getting at him and he felt the need to risk it because he's leaving it vague enough. There could be questions. I don't know. It's interesting, though. It's interesting.
He also talked to the judge about doing the interview. Well, I never saw that mentioned, but if he got approval by Judge Goal, that
Yeah.
makes me feel like your theory is more true.
That
she would sign off on that.
Discovery all has to do with the client, though.
Do you realize that one
They're one and the same.
of Judge Goal's main complaints against Baldwin and Rosie Rosie, that they did a media interview? And that is also what McClelland is saying they did to violate the gag order, part of the reason. And their Frank's memo, he's saying, violated the gag order. And some of that was before the gag order was ever put in place. I can't remember exactly what it was. That I know that the defense diaries just went over those documents, and I remember Bob Mata saying something was before the gag order was ever put in place, but I can't remember exactly what that was.
Yeah, listen, what I'm saying might sound far off, okay? That you have attorneys that are coming out and trying to look out for their friend, that same friend that put them on the case. But let me ask you this, like, that sounds far out. That sounds unlikely. That sounds like you wouldn't see something like that in any other case. But let me ask you this, you guys. In any other case, do you ever feel like that you would think there could be a possibility that a human being child was sacrificed to a group that follows ancient Odinist beliefs, and those same ancient Odinists or are part of similar belief system would wear a patch on their state prison uniform, and then when their boss tells them to take it off, they go get it tattooed on their face? Like, what? That's absurd. That is like something I would expect to see in a movie. What is going on here? I think when you're looking at stuff like that, is it really that absurd to think that dude came out to try and help his friend?
No.
You know what I mean?
No, it's not. It's not that far off that he would come out and try to help Judge Goal by proving that she wasn't biased and picking these lawyers because she didn't like the Odinist angle. Because that was one of, I think, the main things all of us thought is, well, her tune changed pretty quick after that Frank's memo. She wanted to lock everything down and had a major issue with that Frank's memo. And I mean, one would only assume it's because of the contents of that Frank memo and what they alleged in it. Because they didn't just cover the Frank's motion issues where they lied in the search warrant. They did detail those very well, but they went even deeper into it, citing, statements from suspects and, people in that they believe could be involved. All kinds of things were in that. It's so lengthy and detailed. So, I mean, for Lobrato to come out and be like, yeah, well, we were going to go down that same path, and we believe the same theory of the case, and we think Richard Allen is innocent too, that clears her of that bias if those are her handpicked choices. I think that's a really good point and possibility. Like, lawyers play chess,
Yeah.
not checkers.
Yeah.
And she is very well experienced.
Yeah.
So it would make sense.
I agree. Yeah. And one thing the judge could have done is get him out of the prison system. Do you know why? And we've talked about this, you guys. Do you know why?
Yeah, but the judge, even if she can't do anything
Do-
about the patches, she can
do you
get
know
him
why?
out of the prison.
Right. Do you know why?
Why?
Because jails are ran by the sheriffs. You have to be a literal police officer, a sheriff.
For what?
The jail.
Oh, right.
Yep. You can't be some schmuck off the street and come in there like these Odinist dudes that
Are going to work in the prison
feel
to
comfortable
oversee.
tattooing their face, you
That's
know.
a great point. To have him overseen by those people, he can't just be in a jail. He
Exactly.
has to be in a prison.
He has to be in the prison. Correct. That is absolutely what's going on. And she could have absolutely prevented that. Mm-hmm.
She could still make that choice now, but she just came out and denied all of the defenses.
Yep.
No hearing,
I know.
no evidentiary hearing, no nothing. Again, no hearing, and just denied all of it.
I know. It is insane. It is absolutely insane. And if I was the defense, I would start submitting requests to the higher court.
What's funny is they're asking her to recuse herself essentially because she has to rule on that motion that they put in to get her off the case.
Yeah.
It's not going to a higher court. It's literally going to her.
I mean, yeah, but there's processes, right?
Yeah.
That the court has to follow. So it doesn't matter if it's going to her. It still has to follow a process. And she can't just say, I'm refusing to follow the normal court standards and stop this right here. That's just not really how it works. But yeah. But yeah, I think that is the show tonight, everybody. The True Crime Talk Show brought to you by Thought Riot Podcast. My name's Brendan.
And I am Aaliyah.
And make sure you check out all of our social medias. They are all /Thought Riot Podcast, except for Twitter. Twitter is, or AKA X, is /Thought Riot Pod. Yeah, hop on there, give us a thumbs up, leave us some love, leave a comment on the videos. And hey, I meant to tell you guys too, people are saying, I think I already said this once, but people have been saying that they've been getting removed from our channel. If you weren't on the last explanation I gave to you around that, YouTube is actively trying to fight ad blockers. They are actively trying to fight fake accounts. That is their number one focus right now. When a content creator like our platform upload videos, it auto prompts the back end in YouTube to look for accounts that are part of our channel, are subscribed to our channel, that haven't had any activity on them. So if you're on here and you're not staying active on thumbs up, comments, whatever, it could drop you, which is super unfair and ridiculous, but still true. And that's part of the reason we set the live to only subscribers can chat. We might take a hit on viewers, but that's okay. It'll help everyone stay, keep you from getting kicked off when we're uploading content, especially with how much we upload. We upload a lot in comparison to other content creators, about 4 times the amount of other content creators, depending. yeah, I think that's everything.
Yeah, hit the like before you leave, guys. We would really appreciate it. It helps out a ton. And yeah,
We'll be
just
back tomorrow.
yeah, we'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time.
And tomorrow I'll have my beard back.
The whole thing. It'll just overnight
Yeah.
grow like a chia pet.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is after 2 days, you know.
Right. That
But
looks
yeah.
really weird. I'm really glad that you shaved your beard. I didn't like sitting next to Charlie.
Look, my Manson era is over, okay? There's a new alignment in the planets and my Manson era is over. Now I'm going back to my, well, I'm not military era, I don't know, business era. Business era. Yeah.
The what? The ads tonight during the live have been insane.
Really? Like what?
Miss Smith said that
Help me understand what
she said, I need to rewind to hear about the account issues. Tonight was worse than being removed. The ads tonight during the live have been insane.
Okay, help me understand what it is, because I haven't changed anything for the ads. So if something's going on there,
yeah, something is really weird tonight, you guys. I don't know what it is, because everybody's been saying it's glitching, and Heather said she has no ads. Heather, do you have YouTube Premium?
oh, it's just been a lot of them every 5 minutes. Okay.
What? Okay, so some people are saying it's like every 5 minutes. Other people are saying they're not getting ads at all. CH said normally don't get ads during a live. Tonight got 3 blocks of them.
That's really strange. Okay.
Mikey said I had ads on the TV, but not on my phone.
So we do have ads on all of our content, you guys. Look, I'm not one of those content creators that's gonna tell you that, oh, I'm in this for moral reasons. I'm not looking to get paid. You guys, I put at least 40 hours into this a week. We are trying to grow into a network that is unbiased and objective. We are trying to grow into something that doesn't include politics and can meet the needs of any viewer and is focused on the science. And the only way to do that is to take every dollar that we get and invest it back into the podcast. So we absolutely monetize our stuff where we can, but I haven't changed anything. So I'll try and figure it out. It shouldn't be any different. You should be getting an ad like, I don't know what's average, once every 20 minutes. I don't know.
I mean, for a live stream, I never have seen an ad on anybody's live stream that I've streamed on
dude,
YouTube.
I've had ads on lives.
Okay, so
for sure.
I mean, I think what's normal is probably like once or twice a stream.
Okay, well, I'll figure. Look, I'm an auto button kind of guy when it comes to YouTube, so whatever YouTube has automatically on is what I leave. That's for managing the comments, that's for managing the ads, that's for everything. I haven't changed anything. We aren't in a rush to get money with the podcast, and I don't depend on any income from the podcast. We actually put in like 10 grand a month in the podcast.
Miss Smith said 1 ad every 2 to 3 minutes.
That is crazy.
That's super excessive. I'm sorry, Miss Smith.
Yeah,
we have no idea why it's doing that.
I apologize for that. I'll try and figure it out. I will try hard to figure it out. So I apologize. But huge shout out to Mikey coming through again. Every time you're on here, I swear, hooking somebody up. Somebody got the hook up, and we appreciate that. That is awesome. And we love having you here. We love having you watching. And hopefully it will only get better and better. We've always had ads turned on our lives. I do check that button. So there's a certain button where like I create my live, then I go back into YouTube Studio, and then I turn on monetization. But I haven't changed anything, so I'll do my absolute best to try and figure it out before tomorrow. So I will do my best to figure it out before tomorrow. Because yeah, we don't want that. I'll try and do it like 1 an hour if I am allowed to like have that much control. I don't know if I am.
Yeah,
I've never looked.
we'll look into it. But yeah, thank you, Mikey.
We'll do the
your
top of the hour ad break.
what's in a name is the lucky Mikey gift of the night.
Yeah,
There's one lucky person
that
every
is
stream.
awesome. Yeah, I'll figure it out, you guys. I will absolutely figure it out. And I will, if I can control it, what I'll do is I will do one ad break at the top of the hour. So like at 9, at 10, or at 10, at 11. Yeah, we've had ads on everything. So
Yeah, there's
always.
never been a time where there weren't ads
Yeah.
turned on. But it's weird that some people aren't getting them at all, and then other people are getting them every literally 2 to 3 minutes. That
Yep.
almost makes me feel like because there's something off because some people aren't getting any and others are getting too much, that it's trying to balance it.
Something,
Like
I don't
because
know.
some people are not getting any,
That's
it's making
strange.
up for it by giving a ton to other people.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, for anyone else listening, I will always be honest with you guys about everything. Ads have always been turned on and they always will be, because that aligns with our goals as becoming more than just a basic podcast. We want to be able to present the crime news and trending crime news without the political bias. We just want a platform and network where people can be objective and unbiased and feel comfortable sharing any opinion and theory, whether it is the exact opposite of mainstream narrative or it aligns with the mainstream narrative. I want all opinions here. Let's learn, grow, and expand, and in order to do that, monetization is very important. So
Yeah.
that's why they'll always be there, and I'll always be honest with you guys about everything. I don't believe in lying. I am you know what? That's one of my other fears. I have 2 fears, right? Cold water and karma. I'm serious.
Miss Smith, we know you weren't complaining,
No.
that you were just bringing it to our attention, because I don't want
We wanna
anybody to
know.
be dealing with that. Like, that would be so frustrating every 2 to 3 minutes getting hit with an ad. I couldn't handle that. That's a problem. That's a major problem. That really messes up your experience watching the show.
Yeah.
If we can do anything to fix that, I want to fix
Yep.
it and I want to know about it. So don't feel bad for bringing it up.
No, we want you to. We want you to. Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
There's the Discord link.
we will be back in here tomorrow. And one other thing for you guys is I just copied and pasted the Patreon link. We have a free tier, so please, if you have Patreon and you want to join the free tier, please do. There's going to be no tricking to like get money later or something like that. It is totally free, and the free tier just offers you alerts, communications, and a general like knowing of what's going on with Thought Riot podcast. So feel free to join there, and the Discord is free. Everything is free. We only want people to support us that have the ability to. If you can afford supporting us, awesome. If not, awesome. We still want to get to know your mind.
Do you have dreams about being stuck below ice?
No.
Okay.
No.
Do you have dreams about being on the Titanic?
Actually, I have had a lot of boat dreams. I have. Yep. I don't know if it was like literally the Titanic, but I've had a lot of boat dreams where the water was very cold when it hit me, like really, really, really uncomfortably cold. And
really uncomfortably cold?
Yeah. Just more than normal. Like I don't have a temper. I don't really.
You don't
What-
have a temper.
What's another negative emotion? Jealousy, anything like that. And like in my dreams, when that cold water would hit me, I would feel like all negative feelings all at once, all the worst feelings. So I'd be like everything at once. That's what cold water makes me feel like.
The worst toxic person alive.
Yeah. And I just don't like feelings, you
Okay,
guys. Like
weird.
feelings are so overrated. And cold water makes me feel them.
Have you ever walked or driven across a frozen lake?
Yeah, actually, I've drove dirt bikes over ice. I've walked over ice. I think I've skated over ice, and I've skateboarded over ice. And funny enough, I've never snowboarded over ice. But all right, you guys, we appreciate you. All of you thought writers out there, and we will be back here tomorrow talking about something new. I don't know which one yet. We have a few videos that, are in the works, but we'll figure it out, and we will be back here with you tomorrow.
Yes, so have a great night. See you then. Bye.
See you later. I'll never